And there's two questions spinning off here. I mean, the first, when you talk about, you mean prayer, those are the weapons of your warfare. You're not talking about, going out and killing people, obviously, because you've said you would
Obviously.
defend a young person, regardless of whether he or she is straight or gay, who is being beaten simply because they were a human being.
Well, I think if we keep that letter within the context of Red Deer, where
Yes.
Darren Lund was a teacher, where he was bringing gay ministers into his school, it, I was never under the I didn't ever know that my letter to the editor would make it all across the world, which it has
Yes.
now done. Certainly did not think that I would have a human rights complaint filed against me. So if we keep it in the context of Red Deer, anyone who knew me in Red Deer knew that I had given my life savings over to ministry here, to at-risk youth and inner-city mission. I had had over 24 teens move into a youth home that myself and some other Christian investors built, or renovated, to accommodate teens, many who were homosexual.
Yes.
So anybody who really knew me, I was part of a political lobby group, would have known right off the bat that this was 100% political.
Now, in the Catholic Church, we call this social justice ministry, or works of corporal charity. And you did quite a bit of that. You did quite a bit of the, getting youth off the street and into shelter, helping them get educated and stuff. What's happened since this whole controversy? Are you still able, were you able to continue functioning?
The organizations are still functioning. Well, the one in Red Deer unfortunately shut down.
Okay. Was that as a result of this complaint? Or?
I think this complaint magnified it, but it was very hard. Anybody who's been in nonprofit knows how hard it is to raise funds. And we were a Christian organization and had over 100 teens a week and had a pretty good rapport with the churches in the community, but still trying to raise enough money to pay overhead expenses, wages, etc. was a very, very tough thing to do.
Yeah. How did this complaint affect it?
Just when you need to write proposals, let's say, to funding organizations, and you need to get community support letters, or, it made the media. Darren Lund was in the Red Deer Advocate, being quoted as paralleling me to other hate mongers such as Terry Long of the Aryan Nations.
Yeah.
And James Keekstra, Holocaust denier. Darren Lund had never met me.
Yeah.
That certainly doesn't go over very well for the reputation of your organization when you're trying to generate funds.
Yeah. So here it is. You're trying to raise money to get kids off the street, and you're being compared to neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that had Darren left it alone, it would have run its course for a month, and it was a community debate, and then it would have disappeared and faded away.
Yeah, and you'd be back on the street helping kids today.
Yep.
Yeah. The other context I mentioned, just because this is for large part of my audience is American. Another context is that this was during the heat of the same-sex marriage debate in Canada.
Yeah, same-sex marriage is being debated. Also, adding sexual orientation to the hate crimes bill, a private member's bill by homosexual MP Sven Robinson. For it, I think at the time it was called Bill C-250.
Yeah.
Also, there was many Supreme Court rulings or Supreme Court cases around that time where they were trying to enforce mandatory pro-homosexual materials to be introduced into the public schools.
Yeah.
All of these things are being ruled in favor of the homosexual agenda.
Yeah.
So there was a definite debate all across Canada.
Yeah.
In the papers, all throughout different forms of media.
Yeah. And I'm what surprises me here, I shouldn't say surprise, but one thing that we should point out is members of Parliament like Tony Martin with the NDP and other strong advocates for same-sex marriage were saying that no, Christians won't be persecuted. No, that if same-sex marriage is passed into law, that no, the Christians and other people of faith, such as Jews and Muslims, are overreacting, that they'll never be forced to do these. They can maintain their theological tradition, free speech. They're still free to express themselves. Do you feel that that's the case?
Didn't they say something similar about GST?
Yeah. Good point.
My point being, politics in general makes a lot of claims like that, unfortunately, that don't end up panning out the way they say they're going to. And yes, I believe it is more, if anyone wants to do a study on it, there's numerous examples where we're seeing that the pro-homosexual agenda is capitalizing on these new laws, and they are persecuting Christians all across Canada, and unfortunately people in leadership positions of human rights commissions, we see how they're capitalizing on these laws, and the promises that were made, and when they were pushing aside these concerns.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we now see these things that were being feared are definitely occurring.
Yeah. Now, some critics have said that our faith should be in Jesus Christ, not in homosexuality or what people do in the bedroom. How do you respond to those who say that this really isn't an issue of faith?
Reword that for me. So what you're telling me is that what they're saying is that this shouldn't be an issue of faith.
Yeah, that if you believe in Christ, why are you getting all upset? And I'm going back to an earlier conversation on sort of the natural law and the, granted it's a leading question, but...
yeah. I guess, obviously from my biblical anthropological view, I believe that woman was made for man and the two become one flesh in covenant with God. Obviously, I have my theological perspective mixed in there.
Yeah.
Though I can really tell you this, though I don't agree with it, though I believe it is terribly harmful.
Yeah.
If a homosexual couple wants to keep their relationship in the bedroom, then I'll mind my own business and carry on with my life.
Yeah.
But the truth is they're not keeping it in the bedroom.
Yeah.
They're now into the schools, and my passion is for young people, Pete. And
yeah.
If the Lord calls me to be an advocate and to put my own freedom at risk to speak out, and my letter was strongly worded. It was designed to open the Pandora's box. I wrote it for that specific reason, and I believe that God is using it because of that.
Yes.
Definitely, I believe that homosexuality is against the natural law of God's creation.